Welcome to the Rugby Bits podcast. We're here after a pretty crazy week of rugby news that's been happening here. There's been a few coaching announcements. There's the Six Nations will continue this week. We had a big round of URC matches with the inland teams getting one over the coastal teams in South Africa and some losses at the top of the log. So there's a lot we need to catch up on. I'm here with Shaun. Cooks is busy consoling people as the Proteas are looking like they're about to lose another semi-final. Shaun, yeah, the funny thing is the cricket and rugby reputations are pretty much the opposite, where the rugby you're pretty much sure they're gonna find their way through a tight match, whereas the cricket it's now like, yeah, they will look good and
Oh,
then sort of break down.
yeah, like it's so. How do we get to this point? Because listen, we've
Unbeaten the whole tournament. We
yes,
get to a
different guys
semi-final.
are cooking. We've been dovetailing between bowlers, batsmen. We've really been operating like an all-court game. So it's not like we're relying on one person. It's not like we're just relying on Miller to score 1,000 runs for us and for Rabada to take all the wickets. Like
Mm.
everyone's contributing. And then we get to the semi-final and no one contributes. Like that's the frustrating thing. Like, how does everyone have an off day? I will say I I had to ask some mates about the rules or laws or whatever, the rules on the catch, because everyone's talking about a finger being under it, but in my old school world, like if the ball touches the ground, it's not out. But I
Mm.
believe there's a little bit of negotiation there. So the ball can touch the ground as long as your finger's underneath, but that legit looks like it bounces. So I personally think that's a cut call. And then after that, like I think we played a couple of bad shots. I thought we were chasing when we didn't need to chase. And then New Zealand have gone into bat and they're just pulling the trigger with there's zero repercussions. Like every edge is
Mm.
miles away from someone. It's wild. Everything's happening for them. I don't
Yeah.
even think if we take 8 wickets in a row now, like they could still claw it out, New Zealand, because I think they got like
Yeah.
30 runs or 500 balls.
Yeah, it's literally, I guess in a rugby context, it's almost like Leinster in a like semi-final or final. Like you could be riding so
Is this with
nicely.
or without Geordie? Because there's a big difference.
Look, we haven't benched our best player at least, but like you could be riding so well, and then just on the day of the big knockout game, nothing goes right. Or it goes right for a little bit and then everything falls apart. And yeah, I think you can only the only thing you can do pretty much is you have to just win one. Once you win one, you get over it and you get better. But
Yeah,
until you do that, it just becomes more and more pressure, more and more like, yeah, everything just becomes more and more consequential.
yeah. Anyway, we were like, unfortunately, we're starting. This is like the reverse shit sandwich. We're starting on this, and I know we're going to end on the URC, which means we get to talk about the Sharks. So I'll just pretend that I'm Ringo and just be happy.
So well, yeah, we mentioned New Zealand. Let's stay with now their rugby team. Big news that has come out actually today on the day of us recording is they've appointed their new All Blacks coach, and it's Dave Rennie. So Dave Rennie has coached throughout the whole ranks of New Zealand rugby. In the club scene, he coached Wellington Lions. He got them to like a three in a row NPC. Coached Manawatu. He coached the Chiefs to two Super Rugby titles. He went overseas to Glasgow, and I think he was in a final at least of the Pro 12 or Pro 14. Came back. He was coach of the Wallabies as well. Obviously, he got unceremoniously fired. Has a 3-1 record against the Springboks. Just put a small pin on that. And now he's been coaching at Quebec Steelers as well in Japan. And now he is back in his homeland. Shaun, yeah, I guess it was a two-horse race between him and Jamie Joseph. What's your reaction to Rennie winning it?
I'm not massively surprised, and I know that you have a little something to say about this, but I'm like, it was literally between him and Jamie. There were a couple of other outliers, but I think it was really between them two.
Yeah.
And I this I'm probably going to show my ignorance here, but I don't think it really matters who between the two. Like I think they are both in the same space, able to do the same things, obviously
Yeah,
with slightly different nuances. But I don't think one is ex massively better than the other. But
agreed.
under the options available currently, because I think it's fair to say the All Blacks cannot hold out until July and have someone as interim until then. I think, they can't run that sort of a setup and then hopefully pick someone up at the end of a season somewhere. So I don't think that was really an option. So I think when you're having a look at everything, I think it's pretty good. Like obviously, like Larkham was in the mix, Jack White's in the mix, Eddie Jones is in the mix. Um, I'm pretty sure John Mitchell would be in the mix. I know he's with England women at the moment, and I know he's just signed another contract. I'm kind of trying to think now who's really going to be there. And I'm sure, like a lot of top coaches will have options in their contract to leave if they get an international gig or
Yeah.
if they something. So, yeah, I think it's a good call. My gut feel on this, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling. I apologize. My gut feel on this is I think we will see an immediate betterment of the All Black squad and direction. And I think almost anyone who had come in would have probably created that because I think the All Blacks have got that about them. I don't think they've that far gone that you need to kind of just strip
Mm.
everything down. I think that they've got enough there that you can guide them into a sort of a funnel and start pushing them forward. I think we will see some growth there. I'm a bit worried about them at 13 and at 9. And if they get Richie Mo'unga back, that fixes their 10 and 15. So, like, I think they're okay. I think 13-9, you could argue a little bit in the locks, but I think Richie Mo'unga coming back would be huge. And then obviously 9 and 13, like I mentioned 100 times. And then we will see growth. I think he's definitely got the ability to push them forward and to go and win a World Cup. I don't think he's an absolute joke of an appointment.
Mm.
Um, but it's going to take some graft. This year is going to be a very interesting one, and I really feel because we're playing them so many times that we really need to be careful. Um, like because they're going to be wanting to make a statement. They obviously you want to set that foundation massive, like if you set a good foundation now, you're like, guys, this is what we're capable of. Let's keep it
Mm.
going. Let's fix this, this, and this, and dumb a few things down, and then work to the World Cup. So there's definitely value to this for the All Blacks. And even if it's just a World Cup and a half cycle, I think they'll benefit from it. Um, how much wiggle room does he have, though? That's my other question. Like, is he allowed to lose this year? A fair amount. Like, is he allowed to go down 4-0 against the Springboks
Mm.
and get his ass handed to him at this tournament thing that we're doing? Nations, Global
Surely.
Nations, International, Non-Nations Cup, World Cup, stroke, not World Cup.
Yeah. Look, I think, you know, him taking this job kind of shows and him like it's an experienced coach. It's not like if it was maybe a bit of more of like a risk of like some random like assistant coach or like young coach in NPC, then it would have been like, hey, you're pretty much in or out. Like if it works, it works. If it doesn't, they kick you out. I think he's basically gonna be there until New Zealand's final match of the World Cup, whenever that final match is. So I think he's
As a
been given the lead.
minimum.
Yeah. I think he's been
Yeah.
given the leeway of whatever happens in South Africa, just try, just try to at least. I think, yeah, New Zealand needs to just try to get to a third test. I mean, I know it's a four-test series for whatever reason. Just see if we can sneak into a third test with it still on the line. Which, look, Sean, I think New Zealand's kind of like, I think similar to South Africa and where South Africa was in 2017, it doesn't take too much to reboot them and to make them like a threat again. Like, I think it's just a matter of, and I think, I mean, there's two, I think, main reasons Razor got kicked out. One was on the field, at least to me, and I think to a lot of people, it just didn't seem like they had a true set to play.
As yeah,
I'll try to get this mic thing fixed. But yeah, six. Testing, testing.
Yeah, we got you. We got you. You're
So yeah,
back.
basically style of play and not having like a clear direction of play, and then two, clearly interpersonal clashes. Now, I don't know how much Rennie fixes that. That's my first issue because when he coached Australia, there was a bit of a problem of do you want to be the expansive Super Rugby vibes, like, you know, carries wide, wide, wide type of game, like set piece, we'll get to that. Or do you want to be sort of a gritted out testing type of like team? And we know Rennie can do the other side. We saw that with the Chiefs and Glasgow. So that's going to be interesting. And then two, in terms of the interpersonal stuff, I don't think players wanted Rainey to be fired before the World Cup for Australia. But if you remember, there was some issues with him and younger players like Lolesio and Harry Wilson felt like they didn't get like a fair shot in the team as opposed to maybe some more experienced players. So I mean, it seems like the only person you need to please in New Zealand is Ardie Savea and you keep your job. So it'll be interesting to see that because for me, I think the big difference between Rennie and Joseph, just if there's like if I can summarize like three things, it's one, it's interesting that they chose Rennie, who's still in a job in Japan, so he can only start when the Japan League One stops, which is what May around then. So there's nothing he can do until pretty much mid-May. So that stops a lot of like preparation time where I think Joseph, if he was appointed, he would like, I think there would have been some agreement with the Highlanders of like, he can coach, but he's pretty much sort of stepping down. Two, Joseph's already been incorporated into like the New Zealand rugby structures as the Maori head coach. So I thought that was like almost like them preparing like a contingency for Razor. So that was interesting. Three, like yes, Rennie and Joseph have both coached international teams, but Joe's the only one that's gone to a World Cup. He's gone to two actually, gone to a quarterfinal. So Rennie hasn't sort of done the whole like grind of a World Cup, which I think is a pretty biggest risk if he's going to be the coach pretty much for the World Cup. And then four, I think they're kind of similar. Like obviously both Pacifica, both played. I mean, Joe's had a more successful career for the All Blacks. So both played for New Zealand. Both have coached in New Zealand rugby for like decades. But Joseph seems more like the people's person, the people's coach vibes, whereas Rennie seems like more of a disciplinarian.
That
And
is,
I'm not,
I'm so glad you said that. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking and I'm like, do you think he's going to come in and be like, I'm the teacher? Like, you know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, if school is in class, you know, or in session, you've got to, no one, like, I'm not your buddy. I'm your
mm.
teacher. Like, I am the coach. You're 100% right.
So yeah, I wonder how that works out with a playing group that has clearly not that Razor was a disciplinarian, but there was a lot of complaints about Razor not interacting with the players. Like one of the main things that came out of like that big article that sort of broke down what was happening is that Foster would sit down with the player when he's being dropped and tell them to his face to their faces and actually cry with them, which is a bit strange if he's crying every week apparently, but we'll deal with that another day. And Razor would apparently like tap you on the shoulder in the bus like before practice and be like, "Hey, you're not playing on Saturday. Okay, cheers, bye." So I think Rennie has a lot more sort of interpersonal skills, but I think there is a line with him. So you wonder with, yeah, like there's always been a few flutters and rumors about like maybe the senior All Blacks aren't as self-regulatory as, you know, the McCall, Whitelock, Carter era. So what now happens? Ardie's doing podcasts and wondering if he still wants to stay in New Zealand rugby. Ricky is going to come with like new ideas from Leinster. Geordie Barrett, he can play every position. Like Bowden is also like quarter to retirement. Like is Will Jordan going to be happy with playing on the wing if it's better for the team? Like Cam Roygard, he's pretty much the star boy now. I was surprised you said like number nine's a problem. I assume you mean except for Roygard, because Roygard's fantastic, of course.
Yes. No, no, 100%. But
Yeah,
like if he gets injured, where do they go after that? Because after that,
yeah.
there are three guys, and you don't know who the best is of those three
Best one
guys, and they
is
kind of
fair.
juggle.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of things where I feel like not that it I don't think there's a wrong choice, and I think they're pretty much the same level of coach, but I feel like Joseph just makes more practical sense for you can start tomorrow essentially. You can do like an either an All Black camp or at least contact the players that you're going to choose and just be like, here's how I want to play. You have 4 months to get your head around it. Where Rennie will pretty much only have now, I guess, when the players finish from the knockouts in Super Rugby, 2 weeks later you're facing France. And yes, at least it'll be France with, Toulouse and Bordeaux not participating. But, we saw what France almost did to them with their third team. So
Yeah.
it's not an easy game.
May you're starting to convince me. I quite like Joseph. Like I have no problem with him,
Mm.
but I also think Dave Rennie got a raw deal, and I feel like he needs another chance. And there's a great story brewing here, just like to get back at the Wallabies on Wallaby home soil, etc., etc. But Jamie Joseph as a person might be the best shot for them as well. Maybe they
Mm.
don't need a disciplinarian. I've just shortened that word. It's the new age. We get to do that. But maybe they need someone that is like a coach, but also does kind of bridge that gap between, you know, like kind of an open office policy versus a closed door policy. I think maybe he would be the best shot during this current time where things are challenging. Like,
Mm.
if we're very honest, things are really challenging for the All Blacks. Everyone's going to always refer back to like the sweep the sheds and the no dickhead policy and the this and the that. But whenever you lose a lot and whenever you are under pressure and the crown slips, then the pressure comes and the cracks start to show and people will speak out of turn. And we have kind of what happened with Razor. Like, was the pressure too much? Was there too much micromanaging on him that
Mm.
caused that? Because he doesn't seem like that guy. So much of that stuff we heard about Razor just really seemed odd. Like this is not the dude that goes surfing when he's not coaching and
And break
break
dances.
dances on the freaking field. Like that's not him. It's so weird. So
Mm.
like there's a lot of pressure from everyone and everywhere. So maybe like is like having a hard ass the right way to go? Because I think we both agree that from a it all depends on who they put into place and if it all fits together, like from assistant coaches. I don't know what the
Yeah. That's
situation
the
is
next
there, but
question.
that's going to be huge. And then that's also the conversation of like, are we going to have interims and then we're going to bring guys in after seasons are finished? And how long am I allowed until I get my full first team coaching setup together? But once that all happens, then you move it in a direction and you start gaining a bit of traction. Like you'll always refer to the All Blacks as like those 2015 All Blacks and how they operated and managed themselves and managed everything from top down. And then you'll
Mm.
always look back at the Springbok era, the Rassie Erasmus era, about what he did and how he positioned himself and how he managed that space, pulling the Springboks out. So he gained a lot of clout with super sport, with SA rugby. Like he got to dictate a lot of terms and make a lot of big decisions, which any coach coming into the Springbok role now would not be able to do because of the power they have. The Springboks are so desperate to get something going, get some love back, like salvage themselves, save their life. That that happened. So there's kind of that middle ground, and it's a very interesting space because the All Blacks have not been here for a long, not in my lifetime or my rugby world have they been in this space where they've come from really good, they've expected to put someone. I mean, they wanted to get rid of a coach who took them to the final. They did get rid of him. They got a new guy in. It went tits up is the nicest way of putting it. And now they've got someone else in new, and there's a lot of like scattering going on. Very little pulling in one direction. So
Yeah.
time will tell.
Yeah. I think the assistant coach's appointment is the biggest question now because look, I think Rennie, like I said, Rennie and Joseph, I think it's six of one, half a dozen of the other. Sidebar, I think Jamie Joseph not being able to get Tony Brown to come down is probably maybe the biggest factor as to why he didn't get the
Yeah,
job.
imagine that was like that. That's the only thing they looked at your plan. What's your plan? No, Tony, sorry, you're out.
I'm sure like that was the interview, like, okay, can Tony come down? Yeah. And then Joseph was like, I called him and the release clause for Springbok Rugby is like millions of rand, whatever the case is. So we can't really get him. And he's actually kind of happy there for whatever reason. He likes, I don't know, the surfing, whatever the case is. So I wonder if that was almost like the decisive thing. I
Like, have
mean,
you seen Rassie's TikToks? That oak's having the jaw.
these guys are drinking the whole time, basically. Yeah,
He's
the difficulty, I guess, is who do you call upon? Is it going to be almost like a mix of Super Rugby coaches? Which, I mean, I think the Super Rugby coaches are in an interesting position themselves because I think they're all, except for Joseph, and I guess Vern Cotter's now moved to the Reds. It's not like the most experienced international coaches. Like Rob Penny doesn't have that much like international test match experience. Chiefs have a
I
new
reckon
coach.
Jamie Joseph gets in the mix. You reckon he'll take an assistant job?
I think they have a decent relationship, Rennie and Joseph. I don't think I haven't,
That could
it's
that could literally be the
eh,
next
yeah. And then
connection.
Joseph, you're next, basically, whatever happens to Rennie. Because
And
I'm
then
trying to
Joseph's
think,
got access to Tony for later on down the line. Like there's a
I,
good
I'm
8-year plan going on, yeah.
yeah, I'm thinking that SHR has probably approached Tony Brown and said, "You're coming back home after this, your South African gap here. You're coming back home, bro. Like we're not gonna allow this to happen for much longer." So then, if it's Rennie until the World Cup, let's say Rennie moves on, then it's Joseph, Tony Brown, and then maybe Tony Brown has like the first go if Joseph has to go. The problem though is, New Zealand rugby is so weird because obviously it's such a small country and a small space where you just randomly hear like, oh, Gatland and Graham Henry never liked each other, for example. So it could be one of those where both coaches are pretty much the same age, pretty much have gone for the same jobs for 20, 30 years. So there might be some beef. We'll find out. But yeah, I do wonder who comes in, who's able to be recruited because I assume James Ryan has to stay like or Jason Ryan, sorry, the
Yes.
forwards coach,
Yes.
like not the island lock. He's the best forwards
He
coach
can't
in the
stay. He
world
needs to
for
be
me.
banned.
So Jason Ryan has to be your forwards coach. Scott Hansen was the attack coach. He was apparently the big problem. And all these reports are like Scott Hansen was very much rubbing the players up the wrong way. So he has to definitely go. So maybe Liam McDonald can come back in. Like obviously he was involved for a little bit, then he had to go. There's yeah, so
Tana
and there's
Umanga's, I don't think the door's completely closed.
I think that would be the first call I'd make, or one of the first calls is especially with like the Pacifica like players. And it must be noted, Dave Rennie is the first Pacifica coach
Yes.
to coach for the All Blacks, which is obviously very significant and like a big congratulations for him for that. So if it's Rennie and Tana, and you really get like a pretty strong Pacifica like group on your side, the likes of RD and Ioane and Tupulotu and those sort of players, I think that helps a lot. So at least you're, if not maybe the coaching and the technical stuff, but the culture and vibes is good. And I think that even for the like we said, for the Springboks, you can get coaching and vibes right. You can do a lot with that. Just have a pretty basic game plan. So I think the All Blacks have that chance. And look, I think the big benefit is we've seen now with Rassie, with even to an extent Steve Borthwick and Michael Checker, you don't need 4 or 5 years to implement a game plan to work for a World Cup. 2 years is more than enough. So I think the first year will just be find your feet, try not to be too embarrassing. At the very least, be competitive. If you can sort of sneak out with like a 60% win record and it's like only South Africa and England away and maybe France, one of France or Ireland have beaten you, like 4 or 5 losses, we'll take it. Like we'll shrug our shoulders, Bledisloe still at where it's supposed to be. We'll look past that as long as things are improving. And then year two, it's like, okay, can you do a real assault at the World Cup?
Yeah. No, listen, I would be feeling pretty happy if I was an All Black supporter with what the next 2 years can bring, because the potential is there. That's I think there's no doubt about it. Like there really is potential for the All Blacks. Like I know winning a World Cup is the only way that they are measured, but I think they've kind of tempered that down a little bit and understand, listen, we want to be very competitive, get to the final, and once we're in the final, like it's on. So it's not like a foregone conclusion. So I think it's looking good for them, but there's still a lot of moving parts and a lot of things that need to happen. And that would influence stuff because there's a lot of questions and a lot of uncertain things, which obviously NZR are comfortable with because they would have had that conversation. I mean, Rennie would have said, listen, these are my assistant coaches, these are who I'm targeting, this is my 4 or 5 year plan. I don't know how, I'm sure they would sort of go with that. And then obviously some succession planning, they have to be thinking about that, but maybe they just want to get out of I was going to say 1996. Maybe they want to get out of 2026 first. Yes, yeah, I'm living in another life here. Woo.
Yeah, I mean, they did win a test series in South Africa in 1996. So if maybe that's your if you're seeing something in the future, let us know.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah, look, yeah, so it's just about now. And yeah, I mean, we made jokes at the time that Razor's assistant coaching staff was way too big, and they kind of downsized themselves during the course of the 2 years. So yeah, whoever they can get, let's see. But yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting for New Zealand. Do you think this changes how much? Yeah. So let's say we were like, what, 80-20 confident about the Springboks winning the 4 Test series. Where are you now that you know it's Dave Rennie?
I, I honestly feel the same
Okay.
because um, I really feel that the Springboks are in a place where they are legitimately focusing on themselves and they've got those layers that they need to accomplish in order to get where they need to get. Like,
Mm,
I'm pretty confident that this is going to be they're going to be target matches for Rassie in terms of what we normally refer to as like games that we kind of really want to go out and win as opposed. I mean, we obviously, yes, we want to win every game, but you know, those
yeah.
games where we name the first team, we've given Oaks rest and we've planned and we're going to execute on this. I think the at least the first 3 tests, or maybe even the first two and the third one, give it a go and then close it off in the last one. So I think we're going to stay the same. Um, I really do think so. Even if the All Blacks go unbeaten up until that point this year, I think it could still be that case because we are still really focused on what we're focused on. Um, but we've obviously got to learn a lot what they're doing. Like how much can they change? The only space they'll be able to do is like work on a certain strike play or manage a certain weakness in the Springboks here, get 7 points out of it, and then hold out. Like that's kind of how I see it happening, you know? So I don't think that they'll be able to put together a complete 4 match game plan that would beat us right now.
Yeah.
Um, so it's gonna be interesting. I think it's gonna be the same. Perhaps it's moving a little bit because I also feel this change will provide natural better results and better performances by the All Blacks. Like you kind of playing for a new coach, you want to prove yourself because he's going to have his favorites and he's going to have guys that would be absolutely firing in Super Rugby that he just overlooks because it's not his vibe. You know what I mean? Like every coach has that. So I think everyone's going to be out to really kind of do their thing.
Yeah, luckily, I think for Rennie, pretty much all the players he coached for the Chiefs 10 years ago are all out. All the players he coached for New Zealand under 20 are pretty much all aged out. So there's not going to be any accusation of favoritism, whatever the case is. And he was actually coaching against, a good chunk of these players a few years ago. So I think that also helps because then you don't have, like, I mean, that seemed to also be a factor for Razor that, you know, these people came in, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I'll be keen to see if New Zealand goes the let's do it very simple and do like a knockout game type of like game plan, like you've seen with South Africa, you've seen with England to an extent. Or I mean, he didn't go full checker yet in 2015, but like the more expansive, like kind of use the talent that you have around you, Michael Checker approach, which I think I mean, it's Australasian, so I assume they're going to have a bit of flair to it. But yeah, I'll be keen. I mean, I, I think I've been saying for many years now, New Zealand's strength is their pack and I'm not too enthused by their backline. But yeah, maybe Rennie can find something. We know, like when he beat the Springboks with the Wallabies, I mean, the forwards fronted up. They did their job, of course, but it was also about them getting width and them being patient enough to, crack the rush defense and then finding gaps and having like an experienced 10 like Quay Cooper to be able to do that. So if they want to do the ball in hand type of thing, like Rennie does maybe provide that a bit more than Razor does. It'll be interesting to see how he does it because then again, there's like another point for Jamie Joseph. If game plan style was maybe a thing that the New Zealand players were complaining about, we know obviously every week if you listen to the breakdown, the New Zealand pundits want them to score 6 tries and for everyone to have like 10 passes each. So, and we know Razor's a more of a sort of a conservative type of coach. Jamie Joseph has literally almost invented ways of playing with like a small team with Japan. So if you kind of can use that Japan basis on the All Blacks, you could do something insane. Yeah. So I do wonder how the game plan's going to look. But yeah, I think there's a lot that we'll hopefully learn and see over the next few months when appointments are made and we hear quotes from Rennie. Sean, let's go. Oh, yeah.
It's off the All Blacks, but I don't know how much you've seen of it. But Zach Lomax, the rugby league guy,
Mm,
Australia, something's happened and he's not allowed to be signed or play. It doesn't look like he can play league anymore for some reason. I don't know. It was like some contractual thing, but there's plenty talk about him now, obviously going to Union.
mm,
Um, and yeah, everyone's talking about him being in the Wallabies. I was trying to figure out if you'd seen anything about it or if you know anything about him. He's like a center
no.
wing. I mean, I don't know really where he plays, outside back, so probably 13, 11,
Yeah.
14, 15, possibly.
Wasn't Angus Crichton or something like that also being talked about? Like there's a few leagueies that might sort of sneak in. But they
But
have
it's
to
a
do it
World
now.
Cup. Yes, it's a World Cup cycle, and it's a great little crossover because,
Yeah.
they just go play, hopefully, dominate in the World Cup and then sign for Toulon or go back to league. Like, it's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's brilliant. Imagine like showcasing your almost two different businesses. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like it opens up your options hugely. And you get to really ask for top dollar because league there's a whack of cash there.
Yeah. Look, yeah, I mean, the main signing from league that needs to happen is Mark Nawakanitawase. Like, he's the main guy to get. So they've
But
gotten
it's
Connor
confirmed
Gordon.
that he's going to Japan, isn't it?
Yes, 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 yes.
So I reckon that they'll just wangle or something and get him in. I'm
Yeah.
almost sure that it's confirmed that he's going back to Union, but he's going to Japan.
Yeah.
And I think then they will just bring him back in because if they can sure up, just make it dead certain for one of those back three options while what's the face is out with that injury, right? Then that kind of settles things a little bit. And plus having him on one side of the field and Suali on the other, depending on which way you're attacking.
Mm.
But like those two under high balls and management would be quite good. I think Marky Mark sorted. And then um Reds Flav, 10, the 10.
Carter Gordon.
Yes, he's back.
Yeah.
Poaching the old Union guys back and now stealing a couple of leagueies. Couple of leagueies.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't fully watched Super Rugby like after the first week. I wonder how he's going. I see the Brumbies and Waratahs are top two. So then there's always that after week 3 or 4, that whole like, is Australian rugby back? That sort of
Charlie
question.
Cale. Charlie Cale. Telling you. Telling you, I've been
He's
telling you Oaks for yonks.
I mean,
So
he's in that sort of Henry Pollock, like just an explosive player type of, yeah, loose forward.
Kale, Pollock, Hanekom, Satiti, those are the potentially the eights we have going into a World Cup.
Mm,
Like they're pretty wild. Like there's a
yeah.
couple of them that can play, well, there's a couple of them that can play really tight and a couple that can play tight and loose and a couple that are really more loose. But it's flipping, it's exciting times. But I'm glad Charlie Cale's finally coming good because I bought those stocks 2 years ago and I lost a lot last year. So I'm just about to break even.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, I please can the Australian teams win Super Rugby this time? Sean, let's go to Europe and go to the Six Nations. Question one: did you see that the Six Nations trophy got absolutely burnt to a crisp?
It was such a weird thing. Like I thought, is this an actual story? Is it a non-story? Is it a whatever? And then I see there's like obviously like a fireman or someone is like holding this thing up. It's come out that they're going to have a replica for this year, and then they're going to redesign a new one with parts of the old one for vibes and yeah, marketing.
So they can call the Six Nations the Ashes now. Um,
Bring it
the
on.
I mean, it happened in Ireland, so I don't know if it's because Ireland feels like they're not going to win the Six Nations this year. They decided, well, no one's going to get this trophy anymore. I'm sure there's a lot of blame to go around as to which country who done it and who actually is the
What's
one
the
that
story behind it?
I think it was just a car crash that led to a bit of like a explosion or whatever that then burnt the trophy, from what I understand. But yeah.
And from here on forth, there will be budget for helicopters.
Look, to be fair, it's not the most memorable trophy in the world, so I don't think we need
Also
it.
true. It's also
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it's not not like the Stanley Cup or the World Cup or something where or the Brennus where everyone's gonna like have a week morning before. I mean, we say that as non-Six Nation people. I love the tournament, I do, but you're 100% right about the trophy. I think it's kind of like the title means more than the silverware.
Yeah, I mean the trophy is relatively new. I think it's only been around for 20 years that they've actually had a trophy to present to the winner. So I don't even think there's a much sentimental value. Yeah, in terms of new rugby trophies, yeah, you still would probably put like the World Cup, the Bouclier de Brennes, the Curry Cup, like those, the Bledisloe and how massive it is. Like those are probably the more Kolkata Cup as well. Those are the more traditional cups. Like, yeah, we'll see what happens with it. It's also good if it doesn't have one. I don't think anyone will be complaining. Speaking of the Six Nations, I think the main story is England and the soul searching they've had to do the last 2 weeks has led to them choosing a pretty like changed up squad. So 12 changes made, effectively a new backline that they've selected for this weekend against Italy. So they're going to Italy, they're going to Rome. It's 4 versus 5 in the Six Nations, both teams on 5 points with one win. Sean, I would say each individual change kind of makes sense. Like I can sit down, I can understand the thinking there. All of it together is making me very uncertain for England. And And I know Italy doesn't play well against England traditionally. They have a really bad record. They always mess it up. It's always 40 points, but goodness, the door has never been this open for them.
Yeah, it's I think you're right. Like if you had to argue each change, you could you could probably fall on the side of that was a good call. But I think if we split it up, if we take the forwards, I can totally see and understand those changes. I think the big one for me is um I'll be saying it for a while, but it's either Earl or Pollock at eight. So that's kind
Yeah.
of where they need to find. They need to find that space. I have no problem with Pollock being on the bench because you can finish a game by having Earl and Pollock. I don't think that you can go a whole game by having them. So
Yeah.
I think it's either or, and that's kind of how life has to be for them, both those players moving forward. And what it does is it balances out the rest of the loose trio. So that those whole changes I don't have an issue with. The backline. So this is my thing. I want to know, was this planned? Like, was this a planned thing? We've seen that with the Springboks, but it's pretty like transparent. So everyone's okay with it. They grumble a little bit about it, but they understand the bigger picture. This doesn't seem like it to me. The Six Nations is not the tournament that you normally do it in as well. So we've made it a thing that our away trip to Argentina, generally we change it up or we alternate between the teams in Australia or New Zealand when we play them. But the Six Nations, because of the type of tournaments it is and how tight it generally is, and this tournament is kind of wide open if Scotland pull their finger out this weekend,
Mm.
which I don't think is going to happen. I think but you know what I mean? Like it is, if Scotland win this weekend, then the tournament's open. So it's a bit weird to make these changes to think that it was planned, and then it opens up a whole new kettle of worms, can
I
of
would say
worms,
the can of
a
worms, kettle
kettle.
of fish, probably.
Yeah, whatever, man. I'll just change it all up. Like it opens up a whole bunch of other conversations. Like, how did those changes come about? What were the conversations? Who's injured? What was planned? What's not planned? Some guys have like just missed out completely. Very weird. Um, it's weird. I
Did
really
it?
feel
Yeah.
no, I don't know. Don't worry. You will get on there. Go.
I was going to say, maybe it wasn't the plan 6 months ago. Did it just become the plan because realistically England's out of contention? You can kind of experiment now. You may as well give a bit of a chance now. See if Seb Atkinson can work at 12. Try and push the Tommy Freeman experiment as far as you can. Obviously Mitchell's out, so Ben Spencer comes in. That makes sense. Like, obviously, the Ford form sort of going down gives you the best opportunity to be like, okay, cool, Finn, you have a chance now. Finn Smith, that is. And then just having Daly there as the adult in the room, just to make sure that all these kids know where they need to go. I can kind of see it, but my question then becomes, what's the game plan then? Because Roebuck, Atkinson, Freeman tell me we're doing kicking, we're doing up and unders, we're doing contestables, and then we're gonna like from the scraps get it to like those strike runners, get a try. Murley kind of tells me we're gonna try the ball in hand stuff we did against Ireland, which did not work. But at least now you have Smith and Daly as two playmakers instead of it was pretty much just George Ford having to. I mean, like I don't think he had a good performance, and I'm happy to be critical about it. But I also think he was given pretty much the worst type of circumstance to be, a ball in hand 10 when his other playmaker is Fraser Dingwall, Freddie Stewart. So that's not going to work. So are Smith and Daly gonna sort of interchange with each other? Are they gonna like try to put like these other strike runners into space? We know Ben Spencer's a good kicking nine. We know that Finn Smith is almost a nice mix of Ford and Marcus Smith, where he's a pretty decent kicking fly half, but he can sort of do the ball in hand thing. So that's where I'm just like, I'm not fully sure if this commits either way. And that kind of worries me because that I think that was the problem with the team last week or the team against Ireland, where you had, Freeman at wing, Stewart at fullback, but the worst high ball wing in the world, and Harry Arundel. And then you don't do high ball. So you're like, okay, but then why Stewart in the team if you're going to play ball in hand? And you barely kick to Stewart. And then like, okay, you're playing Ford and Dingwall, that's fine. But if you're gonna do ball in hand, you may as well play Max Jomo and get more width with the game. And then they change Marcus Smith for Stewart, and then you could be like, okay, this kind of makes more sense. But now you've obviously left yourself a big gap in your kicking. So that's where I'm just like, even if you can explain and sort of sit me down and say, okay, we're trying a plan B type of thing. Then it's like, okay, but how are these players going to play? But on the other hand, to be fair, Atkinson's what, 23? He has what, two caps? This is a great opportunity for him. This is a very young potential, like there's a lot of potential in this back line. Like I think there's what, 4 or 5 players that are under 25 or 25 and under. Then you have Ayla Daly, like bringing the average age up. Ben Spencer, sneaky 33, just by the way. So this is a good opportunity for them. And it's kind of like what happened, I think, with the Springboks in New Zealand, where in Eden Park, they kind of went first test, all guns blazing, all the experienced players, all the World Cup winners, and they lost. And part of it was just a bad performance, especially the first, 60 minutes or so. Then the second test, Rassie kind of changed everything, especially in the back line, went younger, went with the Sashas, the Willemses, and they pulled off the biggest win in New Zealand against New Zealand in New Zealand. So maybe this is this. I don't know.
No, I look at this and I'm like, what is it? What is it going to give? I don't think that I'm wrong in saying like I want to look at this and go, what will this change moving forward to the World Cup?
Yeah.
Will it answer questions? Will it, are any of these players, these new young guys, are any of them realistically going to have a performance that will keep them in that position or fight for that position moving forward? I don't really know. So I really feel like I was okay with 1 or 2 changes, but this seems like we're going to have a break and we will refocus later. So perform well, you'll stay in the squad, and then we will bring you in. Do I see Seb Atkinson nailing down that 12 jersey for himself from now moving forward? No. Like, is he going to put in a performance now where people will be like, he's like Dingwall, he can stay? I don't think so. I do, however, love his inclusion. That I must say, I'm not opposed to it. It's just so much other stuff. Like, how is Smith going to manage Finn Smith going to manage life with Atkinson at 12 and Freeman at 13? Those are 3 players that are finding themselves and trying to put their stamp on the game for their coach. You know what I mean? Bring Seb Atkinson in when you've got a Ford and a Lawrence who've been playing together for a while, or you know what I mean? Like that's how I would prefer it. I I think England are seriously lacking a playmaker option, and I don't think the best shout is to only have it at 15. I think 12 should be a shout. And the fact that Max Ojomo is there and available and fit, I don't know why he's not getting a chance to have a look at this, because after his last performance, like surely earns another chance because he tore the house down when he played for England in November. But you know what I mean? Like he's on form. He offers a kick pass run that no other 12 does. And I say that at having not watched a lot of Seb Atkinson. I will go out and say that. But I think
Yeah.
like
Look, to be
John,
fair, very quickly, to be fair on Seb Atkinson was really good in Argentina. Like, really good crash ball option. Like, you can see the potential. Like, big, athletic. There's a
yeah,
lot of talk about how they pretty much want all of their like background players to be 6 foot, 90 kilograms and to run the 111, 12
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah. But the thing is like I'll always circle back to you can't just make 300 changes and just be like, right, go boys, like make the
Mm,
jersey your own. Everyone knows that if this was a World Cup knockout game, they would not name this team in the back
mm.
line. There's no ways they would do. There's no ways Borthwick would
Yeah,
do
if the
that.
Grand Slam was on the line, this wouldn't be
100%.
named.
So like that's why I asked the question why. Like, what is the plan? What are we looking at? For me, the 12 is an option and the 13 is an option. I think, like, as much as Lawrence didn't have the best game, I think when he's fit again, he's going to be fine. So he is injured, from what I understand. 12 is the problem for me. So are they looking for someone to operate with Fraser Dingwall? Because I think Dingwall, I didn't expect him to perform the way he did, but he did really well. And then when he was exposed, he was exposed. So I think he's
Mm.
earned enough to get another chance. Like, was he just a there, like go until you can't anymore and then you're out? So I think they need to figure out 12. I think 13 is a Lawrence and you've got Freeman as an option. I still stand by the fact that Freeman should play on the wing. Um, I think he should be a winger with a 13 option. And then he went on to wing, didn't have the best game. So now they brought him back to 13. I'm scared that's going to screw up everything because last year,
Mm.
14, he was just dominating. So there's so many questions. Daly being back is huge. The Lions and England not having Daly in this end part of his career has really hurt both of them. Not that the Lions lost, but I'm just saying like he's really done well. Like he
Yeah.
literally fixes so many problems on the field. Positioning, his positioning is unbelievable. Like I know you can like nitpick on him being up, but the amount of times he's there or he's in a place, he really reads the game well, and then he
Mm.
organizes the defense, which is also another reason why I would probably have Freeman on the wing, and I'd have Daly at
At
13.
center.
We
Yeah.
still haven't seen Daly at 13 because when he went there, he got injured after 2 minutes, and we haven't seen him back. And I still
Mm.
want to see that plan desperately because you could have Marcus Smith then, and then you or then you could I think that would be to have a Ford or a Finn Smith and then have a Lawrence or a Daly. Now we're talking about Daly at 13 and a Marcus Smith at 15, I think would be the most unbelievable place for Dingwall to play under because
Mm.
he's just going to straighten up, truck it up, do a little bit of distribution, but just really everyone's worried about those three playmakers around him, and they've got to keep an eye on him because he's a big ball carrier. Same with Seb Atkinson, to be fair. Like I think there was better options to make if you're going to just pull the plug, which it looks like he's
Yeah.
done.
So yeah, Finn Smith, 13 test caps. Tommy Freeman, I think it's 23, but what, three of them or four of them now at 13. And Seb Atkinson, two test caps. So that 10, 12, 13 is pretty like hollow in terms of test caps. Roebuck
And
isn't the
they're
most,
fighting for they're fighting. I'm sorry to interrupt you. They're fighting
yeah.
for their space. Like their nerves in going into this game. This is a
Mm,
nervous time. This is not a safe environment. This is not a, you know that you are second choice. You are fighting for a
mm,
position in the squad to be the next one to come up, next cab on the rank. This is not that. This is like
mm,
sink or swim because I'll find someone else. That's how it looks to me. I could be
yeah,
wrong, but the nerves there would be too much. Elliot Daly is going to be huge this weekend.
yeah. So yeah, on the Italy front, like, jeez, you can't have asked for too much more. Look, I think it's going to be one up front, and I mean, these are the two best scrums in the competition right now. Like, Italy's been fantastic, but England's been pretty much just as good. So that Genge versus Ferrari contest is going to be worth the match admission alone. So if I think we can assume Italy can get like some level of like parity up front, like set piece, they can get their own ball. They can maybe disrupt one or two of England's like scrums or lineouts, win contact, win collusion. Zuliani is going to be an absolute pest. England, I mean, Italy also have a lot of questions with their backs because they just haven't really been scoring as much as they should. Like their 22 efficiency has just been not really good. This is the test for your attacking coach, for Brexham Cello. If Brex is coming back this week, I think he is. It looks like he's back from his personal circumstances. This is the test for you to really cut things open, for you to show that the attack has something there, because you can't ask for better against a top team like England than having a 10, 12, 13 that, yeah, doesn't have too many tests, never mind any test together or any games together.
Yeah, I think England have named the right pack for this situation.
Yeah.
They really they need their pack to perform better than ever. And I think the thing is Italy they're riding high. They're confident. They've put in some good performances. I think England are also the second lowest with 22 conversions. So I know Italy are poor, but I think England are
Yeah.
right next to them. I think you're right, though. It's going to go down to that pack. So the problem with England, like they've got a decent pack, and I think they have to have very, very clear uh, uh, KPIs of what needs to be done. And same with the bench. Like this is not going to be a case of like the bench must come on and kind of just go with the vibes. I really feel that no matter what, that they need to kind of keep their structure, because if they keep their structure and they keep the foot on the neck of the Italians, they should be pushing through, because Italy are going to fight the whole way. They're going to fight for 60 minutes up front. There's no doubt about it. Like, how do you get rid of that pack in 60 minutes? They're starting to become a 60-minute beast. It's the bench that's the issue afterwards. So all Italy need is a scrum penalty and a turnover win in England's 22 or in their own 22, and the game will change. It's something that small, because Italy are very good also. The one thing that I have been impressed with is Italy are actually really good lately of stringing a couple of good moments together. So they might not convert it, but there will be a turnover, there will be a scrum penalty, and then they kind of like egg their way out. And you kind of, as the opposition team, you used to conceding a penalty or a turnover, and then they kick the ball away, and then you're on attack again. Where Italy seem to be putting good moments together for longer periods, and that gets a team down. And England are fragile in that if their pack does not is not 80% dominant, maybe 70% dominant, I think that the backline nerves, the looking around, it's going to fall back on all the experienced players. So Spencer and Daly in the backline are everyone's going to be looking at them for help, and they're going to have to be the game drivers, and obviously through Finn Smith. And then they're going to be looking at the old heads in the pack, like just slow it down, sort it out. It could be a boring win, but England need to be positive. Like a boring win will get the fans and the media all over them, but it might be the best thing that they need right now just to fight something out, because I don't think they're going to get their own way. Like if you want to just go to Italy and win on awesome vibes and highlights reels, you could land up in massive shit. And if they
Or Scotland.
yeah, if they spend 30 minutes not playing a decent game plan and getting dominated, and then having to fall back to an old school game plan and then grind out a win, that'll be worse for England and for Steve Borthwick than any other option that they take.
Yeah, I think this could be really the game of the weekend. There's a lot that's, I mean, yes, obviously there's a potential Six Nations decider, but yeah, this game, we just need Italy just to score two quick tries. Worst case scenario for England and best case scenario for the rest of us, Italy 14-0 after like 10, 15 minutes, which probably is too much time. Like England has more than enough time to come back. But I think that's when we are testing now. Has England learned from the last 2 weeks? Can they come back from a bad start? And for Italy, can they then put the foot on the neck? Because that's the problem that they've had with a few of their last few games. Like impressive performance against Scotland and Ireland and France and South Africa and Australia in November. But where they've had the advantage, they haven't been able to score that like killer try to make it a 2 or 3 score game that then really makes a team panic. So that's that first 20 minutes is going to be so key for both teams. Like if it's England 14-0, like if it's the other side, I think it's a pretty chilled win. They'll manage it into a win. But if it's Italy 14-0, I think England could still come back for sure, but it then becomes like I guess a good game for the neutral. So yeah, very excited to see how that goes.
I will say Italy also can take a 14-0 deficit in 20 minutes and still have their heads in the game,
Mm,
which previously not so much. So it could lead England into a false sense of security as well. Um, like I think
yeah.
England are very vulnerable at the moment, which is wild considering how they started the Six Nations. I mean, I was
This
like,
was
the next week's game is going to be the Grand Slam decider. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, they're fighting not to get the wooden spoon.
literally two
But
weeks ago, they were the second best team in the world. What has
yeah,
changed?
yeah, they're the best flight in the world. That the youngest, most amazing eight. Yeah, it's wild. And but yeah, it's England are very vulnerable. Like I I really feel that it really needs to be about process, like process driven, like the
Mm,
absolute basics. Go down, get tight at the scrum, push, drive, get the ball, clean ball, go. And then if it's on, it's on. Like I don't think we're going to go complete Japan and you just kind of stick to structure, do this here,
yeah.
like Japan of old. Like I do think that they need to really earn that because England also have the capability of scoring 60 points. But mentally now, if you put them under pressure, they will ask questions. And I really feel
Mm,
in pro rugby and in test rugby especially, you need to make teams doubt their plan and struggle to execute another plan and allowing you to dominate your plan.
yes.
That's what it is. And I think England are very vulnerable, even after 40 minutes. Like I
Mm,
could see England having a 15-point lead at half time, but I can still see them that game going close, which is a bit of a concern.
yeah. Okay, so Ferrari, Zuliani, Zambonin, Minoncello. You can, I think, add Liner there, or I think Tommaso Allen might be coming back as well. But yeah, those sort of 5, 6 players, if you can have good games, I think Italy has a chance to pull off their biggest upset or their biggest win, I think, pretty much in their whole history. Like beating England would be, I think, very major for them.
And two
Let's,
wins at home in a Six Nations cycle, and not one of them was against Wales, would be huge.
yeah, yeah. I think, geez, I mean, obviously there'd be odds on to then have 3 wins after that. That would be a fantastic Six Nations for Italy. For England, oh yeah, Borthwick needs to maybe he can be an assistant coach there in New Zealand.
Do you
Um,
do you reckon he'll get axed?
I don't think so, but I think there'll be a lot of pressure for that. Also, I just don't know where England goes now. Like it'll have to be then one of those like director of rugbies that haven't really coached internationally, like McCall. Okay, O'Shea, I guess, has, but he's like, I think more of a office role right now. Rob Baxter hasn't coached internationally from what I remember. Like who comes in? It's not
John
Wigglesworth. He's been
Mitchell.
horrible. He
Mitchell.
can't do both.
He's already contracted by the RFU. Just rub out the women's part of his contract, and then you'll be like, "Hey, bud, you're at the wrong training ground."
You know, I mean, they do clash a few times of the year, so he'll have to be flying up and down. But yeah, like I don't know where they go. I think they have to just ride this Borthwick thing out because they're not 2 wins out of 5 bad.
No.
I I'm almost sure. I'm not 1,000% sure, but I'm almost sure they're not as bad as them being, yeah, 2 out of 5 or 1 out of 5 wins.
This is, I'm going to say it again. I think England have the best wider squad and core squad that they have had available to them
In
in a
years.
very, very long time.
Mm.
I don't even think their 2003 winning squad
Ooh.
was this diverse in terms of man for man quality, volume. I think the ceiling of the quality of the players in the 40-man squad for England now are better than what they would have had back then. I think back
Mm.
then and I speak under correction because I don't totally remember their biggest squad options, but there were very clear guys that were the best in their position and they would stay there. Where I think England have Steve Borthwick has the opportunity to take a type of squad to the World Cup in the same kind of setup that Russie took in 2023. And by saying that, I'm referring to specifically where you could feel two different match day squads that would be competitive for almost most
Mm.
games and play two different styles. Like I think they have two options in almost every position that could start.
Mm.
Like with a bit of work and a little couple of exceptions. Like I think the quality they've got to pick from, which ironically could be Borthwick's downfall at the moment. Like he's not sure who to pick.
Who to actually pick? Yeah.
Yeah, like they've still got a Jomo and Hill who are not in the mix, who I think would add a lot of value. Um, there's Faye Boso who's injured. Um, you've got an option of Owen Farrell at 10 in an emergency for or 12. I think that boat has sailed though, but I do think that potentially if they land up in trouble, they've got him. But I mean, you've got three tens at the moment. You've got Finn, Marcus, George Ford. There are a couple of other options. 12, you've got a Jomo, Atkinson, Dingwall. You still got Slade as an option at 13.
Mm.
Potentially at 12, there's another playmaker. Like 9, they've got 3, 4 options clear. At 8, they've got 2 clear options. They're Lucy's,
They
they've
need
got
look, they need
multiple
Tom
blind
Willis
sides.
though.
And yes, but they've got both the Willises as options, but not options, if you understand what I'm saying. Like they
Yeah.
have they have the ability to really like they've got so many props. A lot of them are very young, granted, but they've got prop
Mm.
options. They've got hooker options if you would take them. Like they've got like a wide variety of guys that can play in multiple positions or in multiple teams under
Mm.
different game plans. Um, and still be in a 33-man squad. So that's what I'm trying to. I feel like I'm trying to dig myself out of a hole, but that's what I mean. Like I think they have
Yeah.
the best options available to them than in a very, very long time. Like it's not
Mm.
15 dead certain guys that will make your first team. Now we figure out who's making the bench. Like there are options.
Yeah. Let's move to the Ireland Wales game. That'll be the Friday night game. So for Wales, a few changes, but I think the main thing is obviously Tame Plumtree's out with injury and Sam Costello's out with injury. So you have Dan Edwards and Alex Mann coming in. Few other changes here and there. Ellis Me coming back in. But yeah, decent-ish Wales team. And obviously, especially if they can build on what they did against Scotland, they should have some, shouldn't be competitive. Interesting, the Ireland have, I think you can call it resting or rotating a few options there. So big news, 7 Ulster players. I mean, there was literally, they battled to have won most times in the Six Nations last year, but now,
Last year there was a game where they had 0.
yeah. So,
And now they've got 7.
yeah.
It's
So, I
like
mean,
Christmas has come early.
yeah, this shows the big turnaround Richie Murphy has done at Ulster. So let's see if I can list them. It's Tom O'Toole, it's Nick Timoney, it's Jacob Stockdale, Stu McCloskey, it's Rob Ballacoon, it's Tom Stewart, Nathan Doak. So Nathan Doak, I think, is making his debut if he comes off the bench. So yeah, a few changes in there. The likes of Sheehan and Casey aren't selected. I think pretty much rested, rotated, if you want to call it that. Furlong also is getting a week off. Like the Ireland is lucky they thrashed England so much because there would be I think there's a world where you look at the team selected by Farrell and you have a raised eyebrow and you think, I don't know if I would be doing this. And also, luckily, it's at home. I think if this was in Cardiff, you'd probably pick a stronger team. But this team in Cardiff, I think there's a chance for Wales. I think it's enough though in Dublin.
Yeah. Um, I just want to, there's a part that I want to focus on the Welsh side.
Mm,
I think their bench is pretty good.
mm,
Like, and that's, I quite like their bench is maybe what I wanted. Like, I like the idea of having Adam Beard, Ollie Cracknell coming off the bench. I think Kieran Hardy's a
mm.
great shot. Jared Evans,
Nicky
Louis
Smith,
Hennessy.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. I will say that Cracknell potentially is better as a starter, but that's
Mm,
just because he's not like he just really puts his head down and does some work. So
mm,
it could depending on the game, but I think their bench could be something that will make a little bit of a difference. Having said that, like Ireland's bench is pretty wild, so there's that. But yeah, it's interesting. They've made changes and they've rested some players, but they've kept key guys in key positions like Gibson Park has stayed
yeah.
starting. Like if you're going to make big changes, it's almost like Casey must start and then Doak must come off the bench kind of thing. So they've kept a few key guys in their spine, just to kind of pull everyone back together and haven't gone full Borthwick. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Jacob Stockdale, I think this is it for him. Like it's cool. You've had a good return from injury. You weren't great before you were dropped, so this is your
Mm,
chance. Like really go out and cook and give us a reason to kind of exclude you next time, as opposed to not give us a good reason to start you, kind of thing. So I think that's that. The McCarthy, Van der Fleer, Farrell, Frawley off the bench is pretty big for me. Quite surprised
mm.
um, that Prendergast hasn't got another look in. Like you can have that conversation all you want about that 10 argument, but no matter what, Prendergast and Crowley are your 10s for Ireland moving forward. Like it's stupid that they keep ostracizing one and then they give the other one love and then they're like, oh no, go away, let's bring the other guy in. It's like being in a freaking abusive relationship, you know? You can play them both. They can both be available and on the team at the same time. Like it doesn't make sense to me. It's quite weird because I
Yeah.
think Prendergast's still going to be playing a fair amount of Test rugby.
I guess Frawley, I mean, it's been a while since he's been in the team because he was kind of ostracized, I guess, because of that New Zealand 2024 game. So I guess if you want to give him some play, he makes the most sense, obviously, as a player 23 because he can cover multiple positions. So you kind of give him this, you say to Sam, look, because even whatever happens for the rest of the Six Nations, Sam has about 15 test caps and most of them starting. He has that experience. We can always come back to him. And we will come back to him because Crowley, yes, he's a it guy right now, but his form is also a little bit inconsistent as well. Like he will have his downs. So the merry-go-round will twist once again. So yeah, I don't mind it too much. And especially if I'm also kind of reading and assuming, obviously from Farrell's comments and him coming out against like fans criticizing them, or especially Sam, and he was booed off essentially when in that Italy game. That maybe Farrell's just said to Sam, just have a break, just chill, just be part of the squad, just absorb. Like we're fine with where you're going right now. Just sort of take all this experience, go back to Leinster, kick ass for the rest of the season. Like the 10 jersey is up for grabs if you sort of come back with form. So I don't mind that too much. Yeah, and I guess another place is you're like, okay, giving people a few chances. So Tom Stewart gets a big chance. Like, how many times did Dan Sheehan miss a game? Nathan Doak as well, I think, gets a massive chance, like to stake his claim because I don't think Craig Casey has been that good this season, at least for Ireland. So I think there's a bit of a chance there. Tom Farrell can also do the over 30, but I'm still class thing that McCloskey's been doing. So it's so funny that pretty much Ireland's all their centers are over 30 and just trying to sort of kick ass there. So yeah, I think you're right about Stockdale. Timoney has deserved this chance, so I don't mind that. Yeah, so I think
I'm very
all in
interested.
all,
I want to hear your things. Sorry to interrupt you, but that loose trio doesn't look massively balanced to me.
no.
Like that's quite interesting. I know I was like, listen, you don't play Conan and Doris together. Like it's one's an eight, the other one's an eight, keep it like that. And then 2 weeks ago I was like, you have to have Conan starting. So you've got to play Conan and Doris together. But now I'm like, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure that loose trio. It looks very much the same. It looks like three eights.
Mm.
Like
I
it's so
guess,
I'm
yeah.
interested to see how that works.
Mm. I guess because you don't have McCarthy as a carrier and you kind of are like, okay, then I need to play like, not Doris, Conan as an extra carrier. And Sheehan isn't there as a carrier. Keller's a decent carrier, to be fair. So, okay, I'm putting in maybe Timoney, Doris, Conan as like, okay, you guys are going to do the bulk of the carrying for the pack. So I can kind of see it can work like that. And I think the one thing with Wales is if they play like they did against Scotland. So this is on the assumption that the Scotland game wasn't a fluke. Like this is kind of their standard now or around there. Is those guys worked so hard. Like they were hitting rucks endlessly, carrying endlessly, tackling endlessly. So I kind of like it in that respect, having Timoney, Doris, Conan, and Van der Fleer as your four loose forwards, because they're the four hardest workers. Like I I can see if people are complaining that Izotruk and Prendergast, Key and Prendergast didn't get a chance, but I think these are the four that you'd want against Wales because they're gonna graft and work and work and work and work and work. So I don't mind it too much for this game. Maybe the circumstances of who else is not being selected means you do need Conan to help out with the carrying.
Yeah. It just looks a little off for me.
Yeah,
Um, I think I think getting to the ball and securing the ball might be the problem. I don't see carries being too much of a hassle,
fair.
but I there is potential for Wales to slow ball potentially cause a bit of a hassle at the breakdown.
Yeah.
That's what I see in that.
Scrum is also going to be interesting. I think Wales have done well to balance out their, I think, tight fives and their starting and bench. I would maybe, yeah, like, I think, yeah, like Francis is good, Nikki Smith off the bench. I think you're doing quite well there. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of things there for Wales that I just want them to build on this. Italy is obviously the big target game. Like, can they beat Italy at home? That's going to be the pretty much where this Six Nations can be a very positive one for them.
Yeah, it's huge. It's always weird that when last did we see a tournament where it wasn't a can we beat Italy at home, but everyone's really giving a shootout for it? Like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think now. We haven't really seen a strong England, Ireland, France, and Scotland and Wales in one space. Trying to think when last we
Mm.
saw that.
Yeah, I mean, someone has to be weak. Someone,
Yeah, yeah.
to be
But
fair.
imagine,
So,
yeah, it's interesting. Listen, if Scotland win this weekend, we'll
mm,
literally have that. We'll literally have that going into the
yeah.
last week where three sides could win it, maybe even four.
So, what are Scotland's chances, Sean?
It's in Paris.
It's in
No, it's
Murrayfield.
not. I don't think that the traveling French side is an argument anymore, especially the form that they're in currently.
Mm.
So this is how I see it happening. If it happened for Scotland, it would happen because there's been a week break, because they're playing at Murrayfield, and because Scotland come out and play their final. Like
So, the
they
England
kind
game
of,
plan.
yeah, they kind of need four or five things to go their way, of which one of them is them self-managing. The rest is France falling off on something. If you understand
Mm.
what I'm saying, it's not a case of them imposing themselves and therefore gaining those four markers. I do think France. Do I want to deal with this low-hanging fruit and say France are capable of having a shit away game, or which France is going to pitch up? I think,
Maybe I would say then, Sean, it's not the unpredictable France thing, but France can be drawn into a vibes game. And
yeah,
Scotland,
that's a
Fiji, and
good point.
Japan love to do that. And then France like, no, we're the crazy batshit people. We can throw the ball around. And then it becomes 42-40 to Scotland somehow.
This just stinks of the move. Like, imagine having that conversation. Like, right, guys, I'm going to tell you about the game plan now. So we're just going to go mad. And when they go mad, then we're going to tighten up and we're going to beat them. Everyone's just going to be like, cool, bud, we're in. Yeah, that's a very valid point. That's probably the more realistic option because I don't think it's going to be a which French team. I don't think the week break is going to really affect them, but maybe they're drunk on their own vibes and they do get drawn in and then
Mm.
you kind of got to just get underneath them a little bit, make them have those hard conversations, make Thomas Ramos, complain at the ref and Antoine Dupont have to pull everyone in and give them a bollocking. Um, yeah. I,
Yeah.
I think Scotland winning is maybe 20%. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't feel confident with it.
Mm-mm.
It feels dirty saying they're going to win. Like, who can confidently say Scotland are going to beat this French side? I think it's probably not. They can, but it's possible, not probable.
Yeah. We've been here before. Look, Scotland has a decent record against Scotland has a decent record against France. I'll give them that. They've obviously beaten them like twice in the last 4 or 5 years. So it's not impossible. It's not like the island situation next week where I'm not even going to talk about that. And especially that game against England, where, oh, I think in general in the Six Nations, actually, they've been really efficient in the 22. They get in your 22,
Yeah,
they get points, they get out. So there is a
yeah.
world where even if France is now scoring 4 tries, which they pretty much can, especially in the first quarter, Scotland can sort of keep up with them, maybe have a lead, and then France is like, wait, we played decently. How are we behind with 20 minutes to go? Like, kind of like what happened against England last year, where France was like, well, we actually have played decently. Yes, we've missed up some chances, but we should be like 3 scores ahead.
Yeah.
So I think it's that kind of game that needs to happen.
Yeah. It's all leading up until kickoff. As soon as that whistle blows, I think everyone will
Yeah.
know what kind of game we're in for. Like literally from that first 2, 3 minutes. Um, but Scotland need an early foot in the door
Yeah.
and confident thing. Jack Dempsey's back for them this week, which I think is massive.
Is
Um,
he confirmed? I thought he was a bit like touch and go.
uh, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just
I
going on a
mean,
hope and a
if he's
prayer.
he needs
Jack
you need
Dempsey,
a
Carl
Jack
Sainz.
Dempsey.
Those are the only two players you need, bro. And listen, Sione Tuipulotu is very mouthy, eh?
So yeah, I mean, for France's side, Mofana and Deportes look like they'll be coming back. So they're going to be the 12-13, which is crazy that Brabori and Gaeton have been great. They've been faultless. Like you can't really say anything about how they performed. Brabori is like 21, I think. Just an insane player. So they go back to, I guess, their first choice center combination. Jalibert should be fine now, so he's going to be starting. Yeah, again, it's one of those like Scotland has to be at 100% and France have to be at like 75. Then it's like, okay, this could maybe happen. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think this weekend we could have a Six Nations decider, or we could have, 3 teams gunning for it at the end and Steve Borthwick fighting for his job in Paris.
Imagine before the Six Nations, I told you that France can wrap up the Six Nations with a week to spare in
Yeah.
2026. I don't think anyone, like everyone would have said, cool, they're going to win it. but I don't think anyone would have thought that they would be
No.
able to wrap it up so early.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I would have thought that if England wasn't the one, that Ireland would have had, enough wins to still be in contention. So yeah, it's just been a weird one. Sean, let's go to the URC. I know you said you've been avoiding it. So north south, or sort of inland coastal, the inland teams definitely came back strong. We'll start in Joburg with Lions Stormers. I guess two questions, Sean. One, are the Lions serious playoff contenders? Like they played a very sensible game the last 2 weeks against both the Storms and the Sharks. Good kicking game, putting pressure, capitalizing on it. Their forwards are doing the things and at the very least getting parity, if not being better than their opponents. And their backs, obviously we know how good their backs are. And then question two is what the heck has happened to the Stormers?
It's wild. The first question, can we make it three questions? The first question
Yeah.
is, what in the hell do we have to have another 6,000 letter branded name for a team? Everyone just needs to boycott it and be like, cool, Lions, Bulls, Stormers, Sharks, the end.
You
It's
don't like the
ridiculous.
Fidelity Secure Performance Lions Limited,
No,
PTY, whatever.
no, I don't. And it was the biggest branding on their chest as well, just to kind of be like to the commentators, like, listen, there's no reason why you forget to say this because it's literally staring at you in the face. Okay, question one. The Lions are very quietly playing some decent rugby. Um, they're looking good. Ringo, I don't want to upset you, but I do feel that perhaps it was the Lions, the way that they did it, that forced the opposition to play crap rugby. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like sometimes you are forced into not performing because you feel that the Sharks and the Stormers, the Lions opposition recently, just really didn't pitch up. But
mm.
you can't say that that's only that team's fault. Like it has a lot to do with the Lions as well. Like I don't want to take that away from them. But they very quietly just dominated. If the URC was only run in February, the Lions would be four times champions. Ringo also made a great point that is this the first time the Shield's ever been won by all teams? Because now officially all South African sides have won the Shield. But yeah, question number two, onto the Stormers. Just not vibing, man. Like, how do you go unbeaten for so long and then play these three games like this where you look like you literally have forgotten how to win a game? Like, if you said that the Stormers hadn't won a game this whole season or scraped through against Zebre or scraped through against Connacht at home or something like that, you'd turn around and be like, yeah, we could see it if you looked at their last three games because they've just been diabolical. How do you go from basically first spot to struggling to get a home quarterfinal?
Mm.
Like, what the hell? So these are the swings and roundabouts. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's the same as the England Six Nations conversation and England World Cup hopes conversations from like a month ago. It's the same conversation we're having about the Stormers, where like the Stormers are cooking, they're on fire, they're gonna have home this, and that, and how good are they looking? But it's very weird. Couple of their stars are not vibing. I still think they're
Sasha,
struggling at 13. Sasha's really in a bad space. Is it, am I allowed to say they're struggling like they need Ruan Null at 13, or am I just only picking bad times for that? Like, Jonathan Roche has actually impressed me.
he's not bad, yeah.
Um, he's I can't remember which game it was a couple of weeks ago. I was like, flip, he's good.
Mm,
Leolin Zas has been one of those big surprises this year in a negative way. Like he really
mm,
hasn't done well. I don't have too many problems with Dylan Mark. Like I quite like him. I think he's really he's just really trying to do his best, but they're struggling everywhere. It's very weird. It's
yeah.
and it's got to a point now when they made changes. I think I think I might have mentioned it. I'm trying to think. I don't know how to explain this in not too long-winded way, but during the Champions Cup, they made some changes and they took a loss, and then I was like, they really need to kind of get back in because this, even though they were Champions Cup and not the URC, it was still like 4 weeks. It was 4 weeks together as a
Mm,
team. You took a win in the URC, you took two losses in the Champions Cup, and then now you're taking a loss in the URC again, and then you're taking more. Like it's almost like when they took their foot off the gas, everything fell apart, as opposed to keeping that machine going and going, which is not sustainable. We know that, but it's all fallen apart. It's very, I don't know, like I don't know how to fix it, to be honest. Like I don't think there's a very clear setup. I think a couple of senior players need to have a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror and pull themselves out of shit. And then by doing that, getting the team to kind of galvanize around them.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Sasha needs a bit of like just a break. Like, obviously now they can kind of say to someone like Sasha, like you pretty much have 3 weeks off because the next time you can maybe play Yuri Matia in this game against the Bulls, which is almost a must win to be honest. But say to Sasha, just go off, just chill, take your mind off rugby. Maybe you just are overloaded and then come back. But they really need, like, I think we've said this before, like, they need their glue guys. Like, the Dion Fury, Dan du Plessis, Ron Nell, that class, Neetling for Sheer, that class of player is so important for the Stormers because it just brings everything together. It's the thing you could probably say the Sharks don't have in terms of those, like, almost Springboks, but players that pretty much will play the whole season that will get you consistency. So I guess I don't even think Similani's been that bad. Like you said, Rosh as well. I
No,
don't think they've been bad. I just think something's just not happening with their defense, backline wise.
it it's vibes. Everyone wants to do something. No one's doing the thing.
Yeah,
Like,
there's no direction as to I need to clean this rack out. I need to stop the Lions having 9 turnovers, 1-1. I need to like we need to get a kicking game going. We need to get around Zas and like when he's catching the ball or whatever the case is. So it's just not fully connecting. And yeah, like it's the problem is it's a similar group of players that, like you said, it's a similar group of players that were winning the 9 games before this. So yeah, that's where it becomes very shocking. Luckily for them, Glasgow, Leinster lost. Cardiff and Munster though won, so now they're pretty much in the mix, but it's not hurt them too much. But yeah, that game in hand for the Stormers, where they face the Bulls, if they win, they get themselves to 4 or 5 points away from Glasgow. They're probably in the top two, top three race because they have most of their games at home. If they lose, I mean, the Bulls will be a few points behind them then because, I mean, the Bulls are 6 points behind. So if the Bulls win that game, the Stormers don't get a bonus point. The Bulls get a bonus point. Now they're basically fighting with the Bulls and the Lions for being in the playoffs. Probably have to say kiss any home hosting of playoffs goodbye.
oh, it's so like you're just like, well, how do you let this happen? Like, how does this happen? Because
Mm,
I can, you can look back just last month, okay, and you'll be like, Stormers are unbeaten in the URC. They're flying.
mm.
How are you going to beat them? What's going to happen? They can't be beaten at home. To Are they gonna like they've got to work hard to get a home playoff? It's very weird. The other
Yeah.
thing, I'm super happy Hachiva Daimani's back. Love
Yeah,
it,
cool
man.
for him.
But what is going to happen now? Like, how are they gonna bring him into the mix?
And they have so many loose forwards.
So I'm so I don't know, like Evan Roos has been very weird for me, and I know I'm not his biggest fan, but he's played a lot like he's played well. He's played better at the beginning of this year than he has in a long time. He is very susceptible to giving away some penalties that probably shouldn't be given away at that particular spot on the field or that particular time in the game. Like, but he's a competitor and he wants to do it. Like, he's probably their best. I don't think there's another eight there that can beat them. Are you going to bench him to start Hatchever? Are you going to put Hatchever on open side potentially? How are you going to balance that out? I didn't get to. So Hatchever didn't play a hell of a lot this year for Racing. That's why they granted him an early release. I don't know what the hell happened there, but he went there on massive form, like
Yeah.
really dynamic player. Like when he left the Stormers, like that really worked everything around him at eight and how they manage that. So I'd love to know what they're going to do here. But yeah, I don't know what's going on. Where's Damien Willemse? Not where, but how long is he out for?
I think it was rest. I think him and Reinach were like just given they'll probably maybe come back for the Bulls game and maybe then Sasha's given the week off. That's from what I understand. Because Reinach, I think, was a part of like training and all that sort of stuff and just I guess said given the weekend off. And I think Willemse was the same. But yeah, I don't know. Sean, just with the Bulls and the Sharks game, we finally have to get to it. Bulls winning 41 points to 12. Is this proof that you should not make an interim coach a permanent coach until you are fully sure as to what to do?
Don't do it. Just keep him as interim. Did the Sharks not do that with Plum? Was Plum not interim and he was doing well and then they made him full time?
I think something like that happened.
Yes. And it might have happened before that with Sean Everett. No, no. Something happened. It's happened before. Just keep them guessing. Give them 3-month contracts for a little bit of job security or say, we'll guarantee it's for the season, but you're not head coach. Like we can always send you to the under 20s. You know, keep the coaches, keep them on their feet. Don't make them full-time coaches because then they're like, ha, like it's fine. I'm done. Job security. Poof. And then all of a sudden you turn into Scott Robertson. What the hell? Oh man,
Yeah.
I feel for him because everyone like how cool was it when JP was named head coach and all those past players were sending those videos and like congrats. I thought that was flippin' epic. Like you don't see that very often. I was loving
Yeah.
that. The pressure's on him. I like him. He must hang around. He's clearly done the right thing. But yeah. Oh, come on.
Yeah. I mean, they call it in football a new manager bounce, which is why you must be very careful before you give them like a permanent job. But yeah, 7 tries to two. Um, like the Bulls are just absolutely running riot defensively. Like the Sharks, I don't even know if there was a backfield that the Sharks had. Like they were just it was pretty much non-existent. They missed 26 tackles, which doesn't really purport to success. Like lineouts weren't really going well. Harold Forster had a brilliant game. Ambrose Papier and Seb de Klerk were great. Andre Pollard looked like, Mathieu Jalibert almost as like a fly half. Yeah, like, I mean, great stuff for the Bulls. I mean, they also had, so weird, but all four South African teams have had big dips. But now the Bulls have kind of come out their dip and now are looking really good. They've obviously strung a few matches now, wins in a row. And things are working. Like players that weren't really on form are starting to hit their marks. You now have Eva. I mean, Erich Low is now back in the team. I think that just helps a lot with the balance of the pack as well. And the backline just looks really. This backline is working. Which, yeah, a lot of questions now for Villarreal whether he's able to sort of come in and have a role here. But the Sharks, it's not even losing a Loftus, it happens. Especially like the Bulls can just be rampant. It's just the way you're losing is just like, oh, yikes.
So firstly, I almost feel the only thing we should be talking about is Oxen Chair's clearing kick. That was incredible. Ox, my man, I'll send you a whole cake. From us at Rugby Bits, we'll send you a whole cake. because that was unbelievable. The other thing is, I think the Sharks, they have players that can do things that will provide you with a platform. Andre Esterhuizen, Lorenzo Julies, but they're not doing it. And then when they do it, they score a try. Like that try that they scored, Esterhuizen trucked it up. They got quick ball. They recycled. They went on to go score. It was so simple. Like you looked at it and you're like, it's obvious, especially when you got Esterhuizen in that form. But then they went and didn't do it again for a while. It was just, and I like Forster aside, I think both Moody and Lorenzo Julius, I think, are both relatively inexperienced and weak at 13 defensively. Like I thought there was opportunity there. And yeah, like no one really tested out the people that you could test. Like I think David Creel could have been tested at 15 a bit better.
Yeah.
I think Moody could have been tested, not like just from his defensive setup, but that combination, that 12-13 combo could have been tested. Like I thought like I just think there were options to do stuff and it wasn't really done. But
Yeah. I mean,
it's very
poor
weird.
Jaco Williams starting at 15 there, like probably his first
And
professional game at 15.
yes, and having said all I said about the Bulls is that it works exactly the same for the Sharks. He would
Yeah.
have definitely been a point you'd be like, we've got to test this guy. He's fast, but how much 15s he played? Like,
Yeah.
let's go put him under pressure. That guy's not going to be in the right position for a lot of time. Let's make sure we are aware of it and we exploit it.
Yeah, Bulls kicked 37 times, so you can see that that was definitely a focus for them. So yeah, wins for Cardiff against Leinster. Edinburgh beat the Scarlets. Connacht with a last-minute heroic win against Glasgow. You have the Dragons and Benetton drawing. Benetton getting Wayne Pivac. Interesting. Munster beating
Cool.
Zebre, and Ospreys also beating Ulster. So yeah, the log has once again coalesced. Like everything is coming together. The games in hand are going to be played next week. Those are big games. Bulls, Ulster, Stormers, Connacht. I think one more team. Like they all could pretty much put themselves, Edinburgh, they could all put themselves into serious contention if they win those games in hand. And then we can see what the log is after that. And we are at the home stretch.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Congratulations to the Lions. And you're 100% right. I think the Bulls are coming out of their slump now. I think the Stormers have like dove headfirst into theirs, and I think the Sharks are just milling around in their slump, which is a permanent slump.
Yeah. Okay, let's end it there. Thank you so much for listening to this Rugby Bits podcast. Please like, share, subscribe to this podcast. We are back on Apple Podcasts, so please follow us there. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube as well. And then, yeah, we're on our social media channels, so follow us for any rugby news. And we will come back to this once we see all the rugby action from the Six Nations. There's sevens, there's other stuff happening as well. Maybe we'll have a Six Nations winner after this. Maybe we'll have a big sort of final week. We'll see. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll come back next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.